Good morning, everyone. You've zoomed in to strengthen your community ties through clubs and organizations. If
Hey,
you
Ellen, welcome to Strengthen Your Community Ties while you have fun through clubs and organizations.
if you do have any questions and type them in the chat box, we'll address those at the end because we'll have plenty of time for any questions, or you can just save your question and you can ask it at the end.
My name is Mike Hipple from Appleton, Wisconsin. This is my mom, Sue Hipple.
Mike is a young man with a physical disability. He has been using assistive technology and augmentative alternative communication since 1998 to communicate with his family and in the community. He started Wisconsin AAC Network in 2015, and the network's mission is to give everybody a voice. He presents at conferences, serves on boards, and is active in Kiwanis. As Mike said, I'm Sue Hipple, mom, and I've enjoyed assisting Mike with presentations and attending the self-determination conference in person in years past.
I would like for you to get a pencil or a pen and a paper because we have some interactive activities that we have planned for you during this workshop.
When we put together our proposal, we had planned to be with you guys in person. So there are parts of the presentation that if you're brave enough to participate, we would love it. So if you just want to take a minute to grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and then we'll get started.
We do a lot of, this is my favorite Wisconsin conference because it's a lot of fun in person, which hopefully next year we can be back in the Dells together. We have been going to this conference for 6 years. I'm not being paid to promote any of the organizations that I will be speaking on today, but here are my list of the organizations that I have a membership in.
Mike's a member of Kiwanis, United States Society of Augmentative Alternative Communication. We're going to shorten that up and we're just going to say AAC. Autism Society, Council of Exceptional Children, Wisconsin AAC Network, Pop Warner Football Challenger Division. Your learning objectives for today are, you'll be able to name 3 clubs or organizations that can connect you to your community. You will identify your strengths and come away with ways to use them in clubs and organizations. You will make a plan to contact one club or organization and go forward carrying that out in the near future.
I'm not being paid to promote any of the organizations that I will be speaking on today, but here are my list of the organizations that I have a membership in. I feel that being a part of something that is bigger than yourself is as you will get to know people in the local about myself being a part of an organization that make a bigger impact than I will ever do myself. My favorite thing about joining a club or an organization is having fun and making new friends.
So Mike gave you some reasons to join a club or organization, get to know the community leaders and make friends, show the community you're smart and capable of giving back to others, increase your self-esteem. And the reason we all join things is to have fun and have fun things to do. What it means to be an adult. I spent some time looking at different dictionaries and thought it just would be easy enough to take the definition right out of the dictionary. So to be an adult, as a noun, it means a person who is fully grown or developed. That would be Mike and I. We're fully grown, believe me, and we're developed. To me, it means more choices, more free time, and more opportunities to socialize. Sometimes, when I was a child, my parents made a lot of those decisions for me. And as an adult, I got to make more of those decisions
To me,
myself.
it means more choices, more opportunities to try new things and socialize, and free time.
So kind of for each of us, it kind of means the same thing, with having the opportunity to make more choices being key, huh, Mike? Yeah. Okay. I spent a lot of time with the dictionary and thought as long as I was defining adult, I would define community, organization, and club, since that's the meat and potatoes of our presentation today. A community is a group of people living in the same place, having the same goals and common interests. Organization is defined as a group of people with a particular purpose, often known as a society or association. And the club is an association or organization dedicated to a particular interest or activity. So you can see there's some common threads in each of those three words, but are different in what they do.
To me, when I think about the word community, it is a group of people that believe in one thing or care about the same thing, like caring for children or the environment. What do you think when you hear the word community?
That's kind of what I think of when I hear the word community.
I also think about my friends that I have met in the community, helping others and doing fun things in my local community. When I think about a club, I think about a small or huge group of people that enjoy one another company. They might have some of the same interests, and they might have the same background. They work together or went to school together. Can you believe that my mom has been in a club for 37 years?
I'm going to flip around a little bit with the slides. Sorry about that. They got out of order on us. Yes, if you can believe by looking at me, I have been in the same club for 37 years. And it started with 5 women, and we all worked together, and we decided we like to socialize, we like to eat. So what could we do where we could socialize and go out to eat and acknowledge each other's birthdays? So we decided we'd go out to a restaurant and celebrate our birthdays. And even though I'm the only person that still works for that same place that we all started together at, we continue 5 times a year to share each other's company and go out to eat. And even though there's only 5 of us, all of our families and all of our friends refer to it as our birthday club.
Another example of a club is my Bible group. We all met each other because of augmentative alternative communication community, but our common mission is we all love Jesus and to talk about Bible teachings. I have been in book study clubs before and different kinds of clubs. What do you think of when you hear the word club? A different kind of a group is called an organization, and that is what we will be talking about next. When I think about an organization, I think about an organized group that have bylaws, have chapters all over, and have a mission statement. My organizations that I have a membership are as follow: Kiwanis, Autism Society, United States and International Society of Augmentative Alternative Communication, and Council on Exceptional Children, that is our Society for Special Education.
So I also belong to some organizations, and when we looked at that definition, it's a group of people with a particular purpose and often known as a society or association. So I belong to Kiwanis Organization, Wisconsin AAC Network Organization, and the United States Society for AAC.
You might be asking yourself, but how do I find these fun clubs and organizations? Use your local newspaper to find out the happenings around your town or at your local public library. Your church or temple is a great place to find out information too. You can go on the internet to find out about national and international organizations and clubs. Social media like Facebook is a terrific place to find clubs like your favorite TV show or a favorite place that is important to you. I went to a camp in Whitewater for years, and the camp that I help at is in Whitewater. I think that I am a part of 2 Facebook groups just on the happenings in Whitewater because that community is still important to me.
How I found some of my clubs and organizations is I asked other people. I think other family and friends would be a great source to find clubs and organizations. And don't forget, there's also professional people maybe in your lives. You might have services through the management group or another CMO. So maybe your social worker, your case manager might have an idea of clubs or organizations. Your parents might have an idea of clubs or organizations, or ask your peers what they do for fun. You might find out a club or an organization that a friend of yours is a member of that you just didn't even know that they went to that. So that would be another way to find out. So clubs in your community, if you're in school, you can check out the clubs at your high school. If you're into sports, there might be a bowling team. I know every high school has a football team, basketball team, volleyball team, pretty much all of those sports are covered. And you might be able to actually be a member of the team. And if you aren't a member of the team, there's other ways you could help out. A friend of Mike's was the team manager at one of our local high schools for the football team. Another friend of Mike's was the assistant equipment manager for the football team. So, there's just all sorts of ways to be involved. When you're thinking of academics, there's the school newspaper, the school yearbook. Maybe some of your high schools have a history club. If you're on the school newspaper or the yearbook, or in the school newspaper or the yearbook club, maybe you could take pictures, write an article, interview a teacher for an article in the school newspaper. And a lot of schools have community-oriented clubs. At the high school that Mike went to, he was in Key Club, which is a division of the Kiwanis organization. Mike's high school also had something called peer helpers, where you'd be paired with someone who needed a little extra help, and you might have an area of expertise in the area that they need some help. And for those of you out there in high school that are kind of politically motivated, don't forget about your school council. Sometimes they need a representative for student council, or certainly, they need a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Those are all positions. So you certainly can participate in any of those organizations. And for those creative participants in our Zoom visit today, remember about your music department, plays, art displays. You could sing in the choir, you could play an instrument in the band. You could create art and have an art show at your school. You could be in a theater production. When Mike was in middle school, he was in a couple of different plays, and him using an AAC device, that was a great club for him to be in, because he could program his lines on his device and then play them what he needed to. One of Mike's friends who had autism, they didn't actually want to be in the play, but they were just the greatest artist. You know, they were just absolutely phenomenal. So they worked in that area of the play and helped design some sets. So there's just all sorts of possibilities.
Boy, Mom, that brings back so many memories for me. Club. That started my love for serving others and my love and proud of my community and school's history. As an adult, I joined clubs that I could do what I am good at and what I am interested in. Let's use the pencil and paper to make two lists.
So if you want to take a few minutes to make two lists, but we've got a couple of slides to go through while you're doing that. So clubs in your community would be maybe at your local church. You could join a choir, join a book club at your local library, join social clubs through the Autism Society, Cerebral Palsy Society, the ARC or SOAR, muscle dystrophy groups. Easy for me to say, not. Join gardening clubs, exercise clubs or art clubs through your local YMCA. Another good source to find out about clubs and organizations is your Aging, Disability, and Resource Center. I think all the counties put together a booklet, and they have their booklets online too. They do list different clubs and organizations, at least in the booklet for Winnebago County and Outagamie County. And then for those folks that are very creative, remember there, usually in every community, you have your local theater group or your craft groups. Another friend of Mike's during the pandemic, actually before the pandemic, her name is Maria, and Maria uses an AAC device, and she has some friends, some who use devices and some who don't. But Maria is a very crafty. She does awesome scrapbooking and she does really cool cards. So prior to the pandemic, once a month, she and some friends would meet at a craft store. Some of the craft stores have little rooms where they teach classes for different things. And they met there. And then during the pandemic, when they couldn't meet together, they did it via Zoom. Everybody would pick up their different supplies for their project. They ordered that online, and then they got together via Zoom to actually do the craft club. So just what a neat way to be creative and to continue your interests. When you look at on a state and local organizations, there's Special Olympics. So for those individuals that are interested in sports, or maybe for those individuals that were interested in sports in high school and then want to continue on during their adult years, Special Olympics offers so many different options and just is an awesome program. Some of your service organizations, you have your Kiwanis, which we belong to. But in a lot of cities, they also have Rotary and JC organizations. Kiwanis does have a division called their Action Club that is specifically geared toward persons with intellectual disability, but don't limit yourself. Certainly, if you have an interest in any Kiwanis club, be it Action Club or one of their other Kiwanis clubs, you'll find them very welcoming and accommodating to make sure that you can be a part of their organization. You know, and then you have your things through BPDD. You've got your People First organizations. Again, for those persons that are, you know, have an interest maybe in policies and procedures and advocacy. That's a wonderful organization for that. There's the Wisconsin AAC network. So we'd love to have more members in our organization. And there's also BPDD does the Partners in Policy Making. Again, and absolutely, if you haven't been through that, you might really want to consider going through that program. An absolutely phenomenal program. You know, for, you know, you'll be a part of something, you know, during the classes are once a month for pretty much all year long, weren't they, Mike? There were a couple of months that you had off, and then a couple of months they met twice a month. It's been a while since Mike's been in that, but what a close-knit group. The people that Mike graduated with that particular class, he still has contact with them today. So that is absolutely a wonderful program.
You can apply for the Dental Friday. You can apply for the Dental Friday.
So yeah, you can go on the BPDD's website, and actually they extended the application. Probably a great move, extending the application, because a lot of people can learn about it at the conference and then go to their website and apply. It's really pretty cool. So Mike, I think prior to me going through all these slides, you asked people to get a piece of paper and a pencil. And for those of you that wanted to participate, we're going to ask for you to make some lists, 2 lists. One list of what you're good at.
The first list is what you like to do.
Or the first list is
The
what
second list is what you are good at.
What he said.
I like to help people, meeting new people and organizing activities. I am good at organizing people and telling them that you are doing a great job. Mom, what are you good at?
I'm good at baking. I'm good at gardening, and I'm good at taking care of people. I'm a very good follower. I don't like to be the leader of an organization, but if the leader needs someone to do different tasks and just get the work done, I'm very good at that.
Maybe you are good at physical activities and you like to do sports. Maybe your interests might be running, going bowling, or basketball. Visit your YMCA to find out when is their next basketball league start, or visit the bowling alley to ask when is the next bowling league start. They do have wheelchair sports like wheelchair bowling and power chair soccer. I was in a wheelchair bowling league a long time ago.
So I think you're kind of, you know, you guys are all bright people. You're probably figured out where we're going with this. So we talked about the clubs and organizations, and we talked about the things that you're good at. So pretty much it's just a process of matching. For example, Mike said that he likes people. He's social. Yes, he is very social. Anybody who knows him. He likes to help people. He likes to organize, and he likes to work in a group. So when I think of clubs or organizations where Mike can do those things that he's good at, I think of the Kiwanis organization. Oh, he's telling me that I need to forward my slide. See, he's very good at coaching. We'll have to put that on one of his strengths. So I think of the Kiwanis organization or other service groups, because pretty much that's what a service organization does. It adopts different projects. For example, our Kiwanis organization, we're working on a project of a Christmas party for first graders from local schools that their counselors identified that they would benefit from an extra Christmas party. So that really keys into Mike's like for people. It's social and it's helping. So Mike also told you that he likes advocacy. So when you think of clubs or organizations where you could do advocacy, People First comes to mind, Partners in Policy Making comes to mind, Youth Leadership Program, Take Your Legislator to Work, Advocacy Day. Again, you're looking at that matching, taking someone's strengths, looking at those clubs and organizations. So let's do some more matching. So the parents out there, you might have a kiddo who likes to sing and likes to act. So looking at ways that they can sing and act, maybe the church choir, a local theater group. There's a ton of activities through the SOAR and the ARC and cerebral palsy, the CP Center up in Green Bay, trying to look at their strengths and abilities and where can they showcase those? What clubs or organizations can they showcase those in? Social workers, case managers through those managed care organizations. You might have a client where fitness is very important to them, or you might have a client that's identified weight loss as something that they want to work on. Again, looking where can they do that? Maybe helping them sign up for some groups at their local YMCA, or again, the Aging, Disability and Resource Center, and sometimes senior centers have different exercise groups. So let's look at some more matching.
A comedy show is awesome.
Oh, for someone who maybe likes to tell jokes and is very social, and boy, to be in a comedy show, I think you need to be pretty brave too. So for those participants out there that don't shy away from the spotlight, a comedy show would be a really a neat way for them to showcase those talents. So again, let's do some more matching. So someone who likes to read, enjoys walks outside, clubs or organizations that they could do that in would be maybe a book club at your local library. And I bet you, Mike, do they have book clubs available on Facebook too? Yeah, pretty much everything's available on Facebook, huh? But for those persons that like to be outside, you could check with your local park and recreation departments. Maybe they have a walking club or a running club. There actually is a program. We were at a conference once where we were promoting Wisconsin AAC Network, and the little booth right next to us was a program called Girls on the Run, which is a running program for girls. So there are just all different possibilities that way. So we kind of talked a little bit about that matching process. So looking at the list of your strengths and what you're good at, if you want to pick 2 of them, and maybe this is the part where if anyone's brave enough to unmute, where they would maybe share 2 of their strengths or what they would like to do. And then maybe we could talk a little bit about what would be a good match for them as far as a club, association, or organization. So we've got lots of comments in the chat, so that's great. We'll have plenty of time to share those, but I don't know if anyone, or if Olivia, our tech person, can unmute anyone, that might want to share some of their strengths, and we could talk about as far as what type of clubs or organizations they could be in. We'll give that a few minutes, see if anybody's interested. We didn't practice this part, so if it's a clunker, I'm sorry.
In the chat, Elise said that 2 of her strengths are that they're outgoing and empathetic.
Okay, so outgoing and empathetic. Mike, do you have any ideas as far as clubs or organizations that, and I didn't catch the person's first name, I'm sorry. Their name?
Elise?
Elise. Oh, what a beautiful name. Any ideas as far as for Elise? What 2 wonderful strengths to have. We're going to catch the slides up.
She could volunteer after school.
That's a great idea. A lot of the YMCA's have after-school programs, or the Boys and Girls Club. They have after-school programs, so that would be, a wonderful match as far as some of the club, or maybe mentoring. Mentoring a younger student would be a good idea. Again, with that empathy, any of those service organizations, like your Action Club or your Kiwanis Club, and there's other service clubs, would be a good match. She said she was social. Pretty much lots of clubs through the ARC and the SOAR, where you can just be together socially, or even People First. That might be a good organization. Or Elise, if you haven't been through the Partners in Policy program, you would have your social component, because you go there to learn more about legislation and advocacy. But you have your empathy component, because it looks at laws and programs and how it would impact persons. So those would be some ideas. I don't know if there's anything else in the chat.
Yeah, so I can read a few more.
Okay.
So Laura says that Ashley is good at cheerleading, rooting others on, and especially when they're doing good things, and she's good at feeding the chickens. She likes to watch movies, throw balls, and sit outside in nature.
Hey, as far as the cheerleading, again, any volunteering with younger kids, but really everybody enjoys to be encouraged in cheerleading. I'm not aware of any clubs or organizations that involve chickens, but that's what a computer search bar is. You certainly could put that in your 4-H. There you go. See, that's why I'm just the sidekick and Mike's the main gig. Lots of clubs and organizations through 4-H, where you've got that animals, the nature, and that social component of it. Good idea, Mike.
All right, so another one is, sorry if I botched your name, Felicia. She says that their strengths are that they're reliable and helpful.
Reliable and helpful, and maybe it's Felicity. Maybe is how you pronounce that.
Felicia?
Alicia, okay. Reliable and helpful, pretty much you're gonna be an asset in any organization, reliable. You're gonna be there for those meetings and we're there for those service clubs, and your group is gonna very much appreciate that. And with being dependable also.
And then there is a question. So David and Lynn Renner ask, did you need to approach the club or group organizers first and let them know what might need to be able to participate?
Yep, actually, you're just a little bit ahead of us, and we are going to talk about that a little bit, as well as we're going to talk about any obstacles and how to overcome those. So thank
Be a
you.
babysitter.
Oh, be a babysitter, or maybe team babysit too, you know, as far as be a babysitter with someone. So we've identified some strengths. We've come up with some possible matches. So now you kind of need the plan, you know, how do you go about it, which gets to the other question. So maybe either on your own or with someone, find out who the contact from the club or organization is and reach out to them. Tell them that what your interests are and you have a desire to be part of their club or organization. And maybe a way to do it is to kind of test the waters first, where you would just go to one of their meetings. That happens for us a little bit with our Kiwanis Club. We have people that express an interest, but Kiwanis is a funny word. They're really not even sure what we do. So they come to one of our service projects or they come to one of our meetings. So then that way they can kind of just see firsthand as far as who the other members are and the kind of things that we do. And then parents or professionals, you kind of can help the young adults through the process by identifying their strengths, what they like to do, and think about where they can do that in the club or organization. And I think also when you're coming up with that plan, you know, we're going to talk about some of the different accommodations, but, you know, when you're coming up with that plan, you know, maybe think of it in terms of addressing the barriers right away. You know, I thought maybe a barrier for some folks might be transportation, because a lot of the clubs and organizations, sometimes they meet during the day, sometimes they meet during the evening, sometimes you have to go someplace else from where the meetings are to the service projects are. So it's just a matter of an adult, maybe, or a case manager, a social worker, kind of looking at that piece of it to see, you know, is public transportation going to work? Is there a group? Maybe someone from the group would help with transportation. Is a lot of conference attendees maybe belong to a managed care organization or utilize the IRIS program? Is that something that can be included in your plan? If there's a membership fee, and don't ever use a membership fee as a reason to dissuade you from belonging to a club or organization. I can speak for our Kiwanis organization. We have scholarships available. So if the membership fee is something that the person who wants to join can only navigate part of it or none of it, there's a way to work around that with different scholarships. Because really all organizations, they want your energy and they want you in the club. And I'm sure they would work really hard to figure out some of those obstacles.
Sometimes you might need technology to help you to be a part of the club and or organization that you want to join. We call this technology assistive technology. It is there to assist you. In the book club example, they might need a reading program to read the book or a line ruler to keep track on where they are in the book. In the exercise example, they might need a walker to walk around or a hoop that they can play basketball with. People think that assistive technology just is for school, and it is so expensive. Assistive technology can be for anyone at any time in the lifetime, and it can be cheap. You can make your own assistive technology on the cheap.
So getting back to Kiwanis and Mike, actually he emailed the Kiwanis Club that he eventually joined and asked for a meeting with them. And Mike didn't tell him that he used a power wheelchair, and he didn't tell them he used a communication device, because all through school, his teachers taught Mike that really there's not anything that he can't do. He just needs to put his mind to it. So he just, introduced himself after he got to the meeting. The Kiwanis Club, they didn't bat an eye. That didn't make a difference to them when they're looking at service projects and when they're looking at places to meet. They just always know it needs to be wheelchair accessible to accommodate Mike's power chair. And when they look at service projects, they figure out Mike might not be able to do the whole service project, but they figure out a piece of the service project that he's able to do. The only one that we haven't been able to figure out a solution for is we do highway cleanup, which really isn't very fun. It wouldn't be safe for Mike to be on the side of a road. So actually, he's a pretty lucky duck that he gets out of that particular service project. So let's see, forgetting about my slides here, sorry. So repeat, repeat, repeat. So it's a process that can be repeated if your interests change or if it's not a good match. Just keep in mind that same formula, what you like to do, what you're good at, look at things available in the community, seek them out if there needs to be some accommodations, some considerations, try to implement those yourself as a young adult. If you need some help from case managers or parents, involve them.
Why do they need to know that you have a disability?
Oh, as far as approaching them ahead of time? Yeah, I guess, there's certainly schools of thought that goes both ways in regards to that. I think the sense of the question was wanting to make it comfortable for everybody. And if there's some accommodations that need to be made, because even when Mike was little, one of the first organizations that we joined was Boy Scouts. There was no hesitancy on the troop leader's part, but there was a little bit of a, I want to do this, but can you help me make it happen? We are doing this next week. How can Mike be involved in that? So as a parent, I learned from the beginning that if you kind of just help guided whoever was in charge with some ideas in regards to accommodations, I found that the group really kind of takes over from there. You maybe guide them that first time, and then they're just thinking in terms of, oh, I want Elise to be able to participate. What if we tweaked it this way? That means that she could fully participate, because a lot of those clubs and organizations, they're just people already, in those clubs and organizations that want to help, they're in it too, because they want to help people and they want to help the club members too. So do you have a closing, Mike?
My quality of life is awesome with community clubs, organizations, and sports in it. I have met so many of my friends through my activities. I hope you will choose to be active in your community.
So in closing, take charge of your life. Your life will be fuller when you're a part of your community. You have so much to share with the world, but remember, the best reason to get involved in clubs and organizations is to have fun and make more friends. So I think we have about 10-15 minutes. Mike and I would be available to answer any other questions that persons just want to ask us by being unmuted, or if there's any other questions in the chat. Olivia, any questions in the chat we can answer?
Let me see real quick. It's going quick, pretty quick, so I'm getting a bit lost in it. Okay.
Or if you want to unmute the group and they could ask their own questions, that works for us too.
Yeah, everyone's unmuted, so I find it would probably be easier to ask out loud just so it doesn't get lost. Otherwise, everyone's saying that this was a great presentation and thank you.
For those parents and case managers, if you want to check us out online, it's www.wisconsinAACnetwork.org. We're a grassroots organization. Actually, we came about again because of BPDD. It was through a Sparks grant. Mike has a way of getting adults to share his vision and then put forth effort with him. So he's got a group of 5 or 6 speech therapists from all over the state that, we have training sessions. They do regional meetings 4 times during the year that they invite school professionals in, and they have a training session for part of the time. They have a vendor come in for part of the time, and then they just have sharing. We also have a chat club for communicators that use AAC. The pandemic kind of sucked the steam right out of our chat club because we would meet different places, but we tried to hold it online too, but we're trying to get back to in person. So there's a chat club in the Madison area that some parents and AAC communicators run, and then we're in the Appleton, Green Bay area. There's another chat club there. Our organization is free. You get a newsletter 4 times a year with all different information on it. So if you know persons that use AAC, or maybe if you know someone who's not verbal,
We would.
and maybe they had one evaluation, I would encourage you to help them seek out another evaluation, because Mike was not the best communicator with his device when he first started, and his school team would have had every reason to give up on him. when he was in first and second grade. But they didn't, and we didn't, and he just needed
S.
to be in fifth grade and have the correct device
U.
provided to him. And he's just been I tease, he's the
Support.
chattiest nonverbal person that I know. He uses his
Y.
device to be part of, as you saw, lots of
O.
clubs and organizations.
U. U.
One question is like Elise asked, what specific like Bible club are you guys in?
To start.
Can I talk about that? It's called Divine Verses. If Elise wants to reach out to Mike individually, I can share Mike's email address. It is run by an AAC communicator, but there's persons who use a communication device and do not use a communication device in the group, but it's called Divine Verses. And Mike's email address is Mike, M-I-K-E, Hipple, Hipple, the number 4@gmail.com. Or you can get a hold of Mike through the website too. It's a lot.
In. Y. O. U. R. A.
Wisconsin AAC
R.
network, we don't have a very big presence in the Milwaukee area. So if there's anyone listening in the Milwaukee area that wants to partner with us a little more, we'd love to.
We would love to support you to start a chat club in your area.
And we certainly would help with that too. So we're just so sorry that we're not there in person. I think our favorite thing about the Kalahari is the sweet shop. Going there, getting a yummy dessert. But hopefully we'll be back at the Kalahari next year. And another favorite thing is the marketplace. We love going to that. And the dance was absolutely awesome too. So I don't know if they do they do a Zoom dance, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So Mike can get his groove on later with the Zoom dance. So.
Thank you.
And for anyone curious, Mike runs his device with his head array. There's different spots on the head array that moves the cursor around on the communication device for up, down, left, right, and select. And he finds it most efficient to put presentations in a notebook that he accesses as the presentation goes along. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your conference. And thank you to Olivia for helping us out with our technical issues today. And thank you to our interpreter for all of her assistance also. Thank you, everybody.